Hello, my name is Kevin Ajolt with Plus Guys Gaming, and I'm here to go over my 11 place Lugia list that I play at Portland Regionals. I bubbled out top 8, but I felt like I could have won the entire thing if I managed to squeak in because of the text I have in my deck and the matches I probably would have gone against. All the matches I had in the weekend posted somewhere. Well, let's go over my deck list. I am very surprised my deck actually made that far, especially since losing round 1 both days. And my lines in these decks is very interesting compared to other lists. I'm gonna go over some of my ratios and maybe a quick summary of each matchup. I should have a picture of my matchups somewhere on this video or comments below, but let's get to it. So I run 4 copies of Lugia V. So maximize consistency. I'll never do less than that. I just need to see Lugia V. I lost most of my games because I never saw Lugia V on time or my lone Lugia got donked. So I'll always keep at 4. So 4. 3 V stars. Probably 3. I won't probably do 4. I never had issues finding the V star, so I'll keep it at 3. For Archeops, so spoiler alert, I do run 2 Burnett's, but there are times where I just naturally see the Archeops, so I'd rather still have the option to use tap 4 in case some were prized. There is this game where I prized 2 Archeops, so I'd rather keep it at 4. So the main attacker for the deck, T-Tar. T-Tar, I'll never do it at 1. It's been so volatile in like mirror matches against Arceus decks, the main beat stick. There's a card in here I'll go over later on that made this card it's my win condition in most games, and it's just a good beat stick in general. I run 1 Drapion. So this card is pretty controversial whether to run it in Lugia or not, because we're running Dark Attackers from T-Tar, and I get that we don't need the Drapion for Mew, but without Drapion, Mew is actually a pretty rough matchup when they keep Judge Pathing you, and I just felt like if they knock out my lone Lugia, they have to respect the Drapion. So it felt like insurance against that matchup, and I did lose against 1 Mew just because, they just kept Judge Pathing me, and I actually missed my outs to Summoning Star or to knock my lone Lugia. So by both having Drapion and Lugia on board, you have to respect the Drapion and knock out Drapion rather than my lone Lugia. So I really need Drapion. I hit 3 Mews in day 2, so I do like having Drapion in there. Also, this card's really decent into Guardia as well, since it's a colorless attacker, so it's easier to power up through things like Temple Sinnoh. So that's why I run Drapion over like something like Single Strike Yveltal. I get Single Strike Yveltal as a single prizer, but this is so much easier to power up because this was colorless. So felt like this was better for me overall on the weekend, and I probably would not change that. I run 2 Luminions. Probably the main backbone of the deck that keeps everything together, because Lugia feels very inconsistent nowadays, and having double Luminion just to guarantee Burnett's, make my Captain Roner consistent so I can get my Archeops discard pile. It's just mandatory to keep Luminion at 2. I run 1 Radiant Serena. This card never really came up, even against Lost Box, which I only hit 1 Lost Box in the weekend. So I really never got any use of it, but it's there in case you hit any more Lost Box. It just adds more win percentage to that matchup. So I guess this would be cuttable if I did replay that tournament. Since even against Lost Box, it never really came up. I just won by just out-tempoing them. So all right. I run 1 Stonejourner for the Miraidon and Arceus matchup. it's mostly there just because I just need a good single prize attacker, and since I'm running Drapion, not single strike Evolto, I still need other single prize attackers. So having the one's okay. It came up against Lost Box just because of a good single prize attacker against like Raikou V, or just knocking anything, or having forcing them to take an odd prize trade when they try to go 2-2-2 against most decks. So you're just there as a pretty decent beat stick. And then I run one Pumpkaboo just because of path from Mew. Probably if it wasn't for the Mew match, I wouldn't run Pumpkaboo, but it never really came up even against Guardy when I got Temple Rock Sand, because I just ended up powering up a Drapion instead. Because your Temple doesn't even matter with Drapion, so I still need this card. And plus having Pumpkaboo, it allows me to run less number of stadiums, because I only run 2 stadiums in my deck, so having this as a 3rd stadium out whenever I want with a ball search is pretty good. So those are my mons. Let's go over to items. So you got 4 Capturing Aromas. You have to play this card. There's no other good ball searches in this format anymore. It is a coin flip. I don't like it, but it's our best we got. It's better than Great Ball, just because it guarantees to get my mon. And since I'm running double Luminion and double Burnett, this card gets more value. So I can get my evolution. I can get my, if I get heads, if I get tails, I'll get my Luminion. So 4 is good. Get something. I run 4 Ultra Balls. Definitely mandatory. It's a Lugia deck. You need to discard your Archeops, get any of your Mon, your V-Star, turn 2. Just simple as that. I run 2 Nest Balls. I would love to run a 3rd copy, because there are a lot of games where I'm struggling. The deck struggles getting its turn 1 setup with Lugia Vs without crippling the hand, and the Nest Ball does help out because it's a 1-for-1. Instead of using Ultra Ball to get a Lugia and going -2. So I definitely felt like I would like to have more outs to the Lugia V, so maybe consider a 3rd one, but I had to. I run 2 urns. Alright, so I run only 2 urns. I know there's Lugia lists that run 3, but there's a card here that I'll show later that can fetch me the urn whenever I want. So by having that, I can reduce the copy down to 2 to create more deck space. So I run 2. I never felt like I needed more than 2. Actually, I sometimes I never felt like I needed more than 1, because my only single strike attackers is really just T-Tar and maybe a Stone Journer sometimes. So I never felt like I needed to earn more than once per game. So it 2 felt fine. Our 1 Rope. Rope was clean. Rope was so good in a lot of matchups. It really helped out against Goodra. So I can go Gust, I can go Rope Gust, bring up the Goodra, reset its attack, and then just knock out with T-Tar for 280. And it was really good against things like, even against like Guardy or anything that tries to like boss trap me. I can make them promote something that they don't want to get knocked out while switching something that I get stuck in active. Because there are times where I got like my Drapion stuck in the active, a thick T-Tar in the active that I kind of didn't want. So definitely Rope's clean, and I maybe consider running another copy, but for now I had 1. Alright, so I run Canceling Cologne. So this card was supposed to be my answer to Duraludon compared to running Single Strike Urshifu or my own Duraludon. I don't like running those cards because those cards are very clunky and don't do, and are liabilities, and they're also starters I don't want to see when setting my Pokemon. So instead of having like 2 dead cards in matchups that doesn't matter in, I just rather have 1 dead card. So I just run this to create more space. And creating space is so important in this deck because the deck is so inconsistent post-rotation. So I'd just rather run the Cologne rather than running Urshifu and Duraludon. Yep. Although I never hit any of those. I never hit any Duraludon. So I don't know exactly if it was really that impactful card. But it was more impactful the fact that it's 1 dead card and 2 dead cards. So that's my take on it. So I run 1 Choice Belt. Choice Belt was so good in this deck. Like, people did not expect a Lugia deck to have Choice Belt. Choice Belt picks so many numbers. It allowed me to knock out Dragonite V with my Lugia V-Star. It allowed me to get Okos on Gudra. Gudra, with T-Tar, Belt, and 4 single strike energies, you one-shot Gudra even through the Rolling Iron. There are also times where in the mirror match, you can knock out their T-Tar with your own Lugia, if they don't have V-Guard, of course. And then against Arceus decks, it just makes it much easier to knock out Arceus with T-Tar when they're playing V-Guard or even like Radiant Gardevoir. So going forward, I think Choice Belt should be played, and we'll see how the deck adapts later on. But all right, now I got my 2 stadiums. So 2 collapse. I don't run Mezagoza. I never liked Mezagoza. I hate coin flips, so I rather not play Mezagoza and all. And I was trying to think of ways of how to make the deck consistent, but not having run Mezagoza. And I have a ratio in my deck that kind of fixes that. So I wanted to have a stadium bounce, and I think Collapse is the best, especially since running double Luminion. Collapse is the best when you can do Luminion and then get your supporter and then use Collapse Stadium to get rid of the Luminion. Or even gets like Lost Box, you can get rid of damage target. So Collapse is very good, and having 2 Collapse and a Pumpkaboo, it's enough outs to stadiums. All right, that's it for my trainers, items, and stadiums. Next is supporters. We got 2 research. This is probably one of the lowest counts of research that you'll ever see on a Lugia list. But my reason for that is I cut a research for running a second Burnett. Now, Burnett was so good, double Burnett, because there's so many times where I just raw drew into Burnett and didn't even need to use my fish as a liability. So it automatically set up my Archeops by turn 2 in Summoning Star. I think there's only like maybe 2 or 3 games during a whole weekend where I missed Summoning Star turn 2. But that's so many games being played throughout 15 rounds. And I think that was worth running over a 3rd research. And I got here 2 Boss and 2 Serena. So for me, I highly value Serena at 2 because it's very versatile and it increases the consistency of the deck for me, because Serena can act as a 3rd or 4th copy of research or maybe an extra boss while saving space in the deck. And again, I do value creating space in the deck, so having Serena gives it more flexibility. Of course, I know that it's not really that useful against certain matchups where they don't have any Vs, but again, I'm an Arceus deck, not an Arceus deck, but sorry, a Lugia deck, and having the option to discard my Archeops or having, and then again, there's a lot of decks still running like 1 of or 2 of Vs, so it's still good, and I don't think I will ever change that going forward. All right, next, got our Disruption card, 2 Judge, probably a staple. I think going more or less is not ideal. Just 2 is fine. And then here's my clutch tech card I had for the weekend was Arvin. So Arvin lets me search my deck for a tool and an item. So that helped me search my one-ofs, like my Escape Rope, my Cologne against Dura. So against Dura, if I did, in my mind, I was like, okay, against Dura, I'm going to get 3 single strike energies on my T-Tar, and then play Luminion for Arvin, get Belt and Cologne. There you go, one-shot T-Tar. Easy as that. That's why I felt like instead of running Evolution Line, just run Arvin with that, with the Belt and the Cologne, and then you can knock it out. So it kind of acts like Irida back in the day, if you guys remember, pre-rotation Lugia, when you run Irida, you can search out the Belt and Cologne wherever you need it against Duraludon. So that's how I kind of, in my mind, built the deck. And I didn't use it at all for Cologne, obviously, because I never hit Duraludon that weekend, but I actually used it a lot to get my rope, my belt, and I even use it to get Urn or even a Nest Ball, So that's why I actually run only 2 urns, because Arvin can get the urn. So I only need to earn like once per game. And it was very clutch. Of course, there are times where I only Arvin for 1 card because my belt's in my hand or something like that. But it's just nice to have a search card in my deck that can get whatever item I need. So I think I'll keep Arvin from going forward. Alright, so now I've got our items. We're almost done here. We got 4 single strike energies. Kind of mandatory from playing with single strike cards. So that boosts your damage output by 20 for T-Tar to one-shot anything. And then, so we got, next is 3 V-Guard energies. This helped a lot against, I guess, everything in the meta, to be honest. Like, everything had at least some kind of V attackers. Good. So I'll probably keep that at 3. I got 3 gift energies. It was good, just in case people, rock sand or judge me, and then they have to knock out something so I can draw back my hand. So running at 3. And then 3 DTs. 3 Ts to make consistent attackers my Lugia. That's why DT and belt on my Lugia can hit to 230. And a lot of people not expecting that. They expect a Lugia to hit only 200, but the belt made it to 230. So that's my lap. I run 14 energies. And, well, that's my list for the weekend, and thank you very much for watching.